Member Galvin,
Here.
Member Raffinelli,
Present.
Member Earl,
Present.
Member Bicknell,
Present.
Vice Chair Schill,
Here.
Chair Taylor,
Present.
Member Pache is likely on her way, but not here
Wonderful.
yet.
All right. Are there any late changes to the agenda?
No late changes to the agenda, Chair.
All right, then we will move forward. Is there public comment? Anyone requesting to speak to the board regarding all items not subject to the specific public hearing may come forward at this time. Please state your name and limit comments to 3 minutes. Written comments may be submitted to the clerk prior to the meeting. All right, anyone online? Not, we'll move along to consent agenda. For the approval of the minutes from March 11th meeting, is there a motion?
I move to approve the March 11, 2026 Parks Board minutes as is.
I second that motion.
All right. Everyone, any discussion? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
All right, and the motion passes. We'll move on to our presentation. Mr. Crownhart with the 2026 RCO WWRP Local Parks Grant Proposal and Presentation.
Wonderful. Thank you, Chair and Parks Board. Tonight, we're going to be sharing with you the presentation that we are providing to the Recreation and Conservation Office Grant Committee for Horns Corner Inclusive Playground Park. So this is the exact presentation that we're providing. So there's a script that I'm reading through. However, it's very detailed, goes over all of the components. And our objective here is really, one, to get some practice giving it, and two, to give you an opportunity to see the work that we're doing right now and provide some feedback, and just to keep you more knowledgeable on what we're hoping to do with Horns Corner. So with that, good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to present the City of Ridgefield's WWRP Local Parks Proposal for the Horns Corner Inclusive Playground. My name is Corey Crownhart, and I serve as the Parks Manager for the City of Ridgefield. This project represents an important next step in our park system, creating an inclusive design playground that expands access, supports families, and responds to the rapid growth of Ridgefield and Clark County. Slide. The city is requesting $375,000 through the WWRP Local Parks Program for a $750,000 project to add an inclusive design playground to Horns Corner Park. The project is proposed to be completed by December 31st, 2028, and is focused on accessibility, user experience, and expanded recreational opportunity. This playground will provide outdoor play for children of all abilities, encouraging cooperative and social play, and offering therapeutic and developmental benefits. Importantly, this would be the first inclusive design playground in North Clark County at this level of intentional design. Slide. Ridgefield is located in southwest Washington in North Clark County along the I-5 corridor. We are approximately 12 miles north of Vancouver, 17 miles north of Portland, and 25 miles south of Longview. Ridgefield is also adjacent to the Ridgefield Wildlife Refuge, which reinforces our community's strong connection to outdoor recreation and natural landscapes. Slide. The need for this project begins with its location. Oh, one more slide. My apologies. The need for this park begins with its location. Horns Corner Park sits at the intersection of Royal Road and Pioneer Street, which functions as the emerging hub of Ridgefield. This area connects downtown and the waterfront, the high school, the I-5 corridor, ILNA, surrounding neighborhoods, and several areas of commercial and civic growth. The inclusive design playground was deliberately placed here because this is where people already live, travel, shop, go to school, and access services. This is not a park hidden at the edge of town. It is located at the center of daily life in Ridgefield. That makes this project valuable not only for nearby residents, but for the broader North County community that increasingly uses this area as a service and activity hub. Slide. The surrounding area is also developing into a health and family services corridor. Vancouver Clinic, Legacy Medical, and Peace Health are opening or expanding facilities in Ridgefield. At the same time, larger child care centers are opening nearby to serve the growing number of families in our community. That context matters. An inclusive playground is not just a recreational amenity. It becomes part of a family support environment where healthcare, childcare, housing, trails, and public recreation are located near one another. For families with children with disabilities, convenience and proximity are not minor benefits. They can determine whether a facility is used regularly or not. Slide. Horns Corner is also located near Ridgefield's major daily services. The city's 3 grocery options, Costco, Rosars, and a future grocery outlet, are all in or near this hub. The area also includes small businesses, coffee shops, restaurants, bookshops, retailers, and services within walking distance. This strengthens the project in 2 ways. First, it makes the playground more convenient for families because park use can be combined with daily errands and services. Second, it supports the economic vitality of the area by adding a high-quality public amenity near local businesses. The playground will be a recreational destination, but it will also support the broader functions of the growing civic and commercial district. Slide. Perfect. The site is also surrounded by current and future high-density housing. Multiple apartment complexes are located in the Royal Road and Pioneer Street area, with additional housing anticipated. This creates a walkable neighborhood pattern around Horns Corner Park. This is one of the reasons the site is so well suited for an inclusive design playground. Many users will be able to walk, roll, bike, or use nearby multimodal trails rather than rely on personal vehicles. This project puts an accessible recreational opportunity close to where people live, especially families in higher density housing who may have less access to private outdoor space. Slide. Horns Corner Park is already connected to existing and planned recreational infrastructure. Multimodal and ADA compliant trails connect the park to nearby homes, services, and businesses. This area supports active movement, including for people with limited mobility. The city is also preparing to break ground on a 43,000 square foot community and recreation center nearby. Together, the trail network, Horns Corner Park, and the future community center create a major recreation and civic activity district. The inclusive playground fills a specific missing piece in that system: outdoor play that is intentionally designed for families and children with disabilities. Slide. There is a clear service gap in North Clark County. The closest comparable inclusive design playgrounds are Esther Shore Park in Vancouver, Marshall Park in Vancouver, and the Philida Community Park in Clark County. These are approximately 10 to 15 miles from Ridgefield. For many families, that distance is a real barrier, especially for families with young children and children with disabilities. Adaptive equipment for families with children with disabilities. North Clark County does not currently have a comparable inclusive design playground. This project directly addresses that gap. The project is also responding to rapid growth, which I know you are all very familiar with. Clark County has grown to approximately 542,000 residents and has increased by more than 7% since 2020. Looking ahead, Clark County is projected to add between 100 to 300,000 residents by 2050. Ridgefield's growth has been more significant. Slide. Sure, we'll do one more slide. There we go. The city grew from approximately 6,100 residents in 2014 to 16,290 residents by the end of 2024, a more than 36% increase since 2020. That level of growth creates immediate demand for parks, trails, playgrounds, and families servicing public spaces. The Horns Corner Inclusive Playground is not a speculative investment. It is a direct response to current and projected service demand. Slide. Ridgefield's age profile reinforces this need. Our community includes a strong concentration of young families and working age adults. As the slide notes, age affects the need and lifestyle choices of residents, and municipalities must adapt services accordingly. For Ridgefield, that means investing in playgrounds, trails, gathering spaces, and accessible recreational amenities that serve children, caregivers, older adults, and users with disabilities. An inclusive design playground meets that need by creating a shared space where children of different ages and abilities can play together. This project is directly aligned with adopted city plans and standards. Ridgefield's Parks, Recreation, and Open Spaces Plan includes Goal 5.2, which calls for parks and facilities to offer universal accessibility for residents of all physical abilities, skill levels, and ages. In 2025, the city also adopted Parks, Trails, and Recreation Infrastructure Engineering Standards. These standards require community park playgrounds to follow NRPA design recommendations for inclusive design. The project implements adopted policy, adopted planning direction, and adopted design standards. It is exactly the kind of project our planning documents have been calling for. Slide. This slide shows a comparable inclusive design playground at Ruth Bader Ginsburg Elementary School in Vancouver. The Horns Corner project will draw from this level of design quality while responding to our own site conditions and community needs. The goal is not simply to allow children to reach the playground. The goal is to allow children of all abilities to participate meaningfully throughout the play environment. That means accessible surfacing, varied play experiences, social play, sensory play, caregiver access, and a layout that supports movement, visibility, and inclusion. Slide. The project includes several inclusive design elements, including an inclusive swing set, inclusive spinner, stepping stones and logs, and a communications board. These elements support different kinds of play, movement, balance, sensory exploration, social interaction, imaginative play, and cooperative activity. The communications board is especially important because inclusive design must address more than physical access. Some children need support communicating, making choices, interacting with peers, or expressing needs during play. This project creates a shared play environment that recognizes those different needs. Slide. Horns Corner Park has a natural setting that strengthens the project. The site includes old growth oaks, nearby wetlands, and existing multimodal trails. The playground layout incorporates the oak trees and preserves the park's relationship to the surrounding landscape. The adjacent wetlands provide opportunities for learning, wildlife observation, and natural connection. The trail connects the site to nearby services and neighborhoods. This is not just a playground placed in an open field. It's a play environment integrated into the natural and civic fabric of our community. Slide. These slides show the current condition of Horns Corner Park. Today, the site is largely passive open space with existing trails, natural features surrounding residential development, and nearby commercial growth. Slide. The site has strong potential, but it does not yet provide the active recreation amenities needed for the surrounding population. The existing conditions are also why this location is practical. The land is already available for park use, already connected by trails, and already located near the community's growth center. This project builds on these existing strengths while managing the transition from passive open space to active, accessible recreation. Slide. This slide shows the current RCO proposal within the broader Horns Corner Park Master Plan. The focus of this grant request is the inclusive play area and the direct improvements needed to make it accessible and functional. That includes the playground, circulation paths, site preparations, furnishings, signage, landscapes, lighting, and related site improvements. This is a focused and achievable phase for a larger park vision. It advances the highest priority active recreational element while leaving future amenities to later phases. Slide. These renderings show the playground as a connected and inclusive play environment. The design includes accessible surfacing, varied play zones, gathering areas, natural play elements, inclusive equipment, seating, and clear circulation. The layout supports both children and caregivers. Children can move between play elements more easily, and caregivers have improved visibility, access, and proximity. Inclusive design is not just about equipment selection, it's about the entire experience. How families arrive, how children move through the space, how caregivers support play, and how users with different needs participate together. Go forward one more. The inclusive playground is part of a larger master planned park vision. Future phases may include accessible restrooms, an outdoor sports court, a wetland boardwalk, and an outdoor pavilion. Those elements are not part of this RCO request, but they show that the city is planning for a long-term park development in a coordinated way. The grant request delivers the first major active recreational improvement and establishes the foundation for future accessible amenities. Parking and access are essential to the success of this project. The city recognizes that an inclusive playground must provide safe and convenient access for families and visitors, especially users with mobility needs, adaptive equipment, medical equipment, or caregivers managing multiple children. The city already has parking lot plans in hand to support future park development and access to the inclusive design playground. Parking is being pursued through separate funding sources with the goal of coordinating construction with the playground improvements where possible. This allows the RCO request to stay focused on the playground while showing that the city has planned for the access infrastructure needed to make this project successful. Next slide. The total project budget is $750,000. The city is requesting $375,000 from WRP, representing 50% of the overall project. The city will provide a $375,000 local match, also representing 50%. The construction subtotal is estimated to be $630,000, with $120,000 included for administration, architecture, and engineering. That AA&E amount is 19%, which is below the 20% maximum of the grant. The largest cost in playground development is playground development, estimated at $387,000. The budget also includes circulation paths and access routes, lighting, signage, site furnishings, landscaping, permitting, cultural resources, and site preparation. This budget reflects the full cost of delivering a functional, accessible, and ready-to-use public playground, not simply purchasing equipment. Slide. Community engagement has directly shaped this project. The city engaged the Parks Board and City Council, shared information through Ridgefield Roundtable, launched an online survey, and hosted in-person open houses and conducted targeted outreach with park users and community partners. Slide. Community input consistently showed support for inclusive design play. That direction was reinforced by the Parks Board, City Council, and City's comprehensive planning work, and the 2025 Engineering Standards Update. Partnerships also strengthened this project. Slide. The city has coordinated with organizations serving families, youth, recreational users, and the broader community, including the Port of Ridgefield, Ridgefield School District, Pacific Soccer Club, and Peace Northwest. Peace Northwest has been especially important because of their work supporting individuals with disabilities. Their input helps ensure the the playground reflects lived experience and better supports the disability community. The project supports sustainability in 3 ways. Ecologically, it uses native plantings where possible, preserves the site's natural character, incorporates drainage and surface improvements, and aligns with long-term resource management for the park. Slide. Socially, it promotes healthy lifestyles, outdoor activity, inclusion, belonging, and stronger connection between neighborhoods, trails, services, and public amenities. Slide. Economically, it invests in a modern and accessible park amenity near Ridgefield's growing civic and commercial hub. The playground will support quality of life, strengthen the park as a family destination, and contribute to the vitality of the surrounding area. Slide. This project demonstrates strong stewardship of public funds. The city is leveraging local appropriations, grant funding, donations, in-kind contributions, partnerships, and volunteer support to stretch public dollars. The design also emphasizes durable materials and long-term maintenance considerations to reduce future repair and replacement costs. The goal is to build a playground that is not only meaningful on opening day, but sustainable and manageable and maintainable for years to come. In closing, Horns Corner Inclusive Playground addresses a clear and growing need in Ridgefield and North Clark County. It fills a gap in inclusive outdoor recreation, responds to rapid population growth, aligns with adopted plans and standards, and is located in one of the most connected and strategic areas of the city. This project will create a welcoming public space where children of all abilities can play together and where families can feel included in the community, in the life of this community. Thank you for your time and consideration, and I would be happy to answer any of your questions. I know this is a brand new project for you guys. So with that, that's what we'll be presenting to the RCO committee, but I wanted to give you an update of what we're doing and also get your take and thoughts. How might we improve this? What do you like? And how do you feel about us moving with this project?
So I have a couple questions. On slides like 12 to 14, you talk about like all the metrics, right? Like there's near grocery stores, small businesses. I think slide 14 was about the high density housing. I like the point about it's by high density, they don't have private space, but I was also curious about the distance from other parks compared to like other peers in Ridgefield.
Yep.
Just if that was a metric that would be valid to add on there too. So it kind of like, it adds another layer of value that it's taking care of that need.
We could do that. What we focused on with this particular slide deck is how close are they to playgrounds that are designed with inclusive design principles, and that's what I believe.
Was that 14 or whatever one was the one about being near the high density housing?
Hey, that was slide
Maybe it was 6.
8.
Was it 8? Okay.
I think slide 10 addresses the proximity to inclusive design playgrounds.
Oh, let's see. Sorry, mine's loading. Oh, go ahead.
No, so you already proposed this, you've already given your presentation?
We gave a technical review earlier this week, and we'll be presenting again in August.
Do you have to do it live, or is it through,
Oh, it's live streamed on YouTube.
it's live streamed
It is.
to the committee? And the inclusivity, I remember when we gave our proposal for the design, it matches still the one that we came up with.
Yes.
It's not being redrawn.
The,
Just as far as the inclusivity, I know the sports court was included, but I didn't know if the inclusivity was, like, if it had to be added on or brought up to a higher level than what we had proposed and that we sent, that the council approved.
what you had put forward is what's being put forward in this
Okay.
application,
So
which
that
is
no
that,
changes had to be made.
yeah, above and beyond the ADA compliance and stepping into inclusive design principles.
So you're gonna present this in August, and then what is the time frame for hearing back? When do they grant? When do they?
Actually, so this particular grant, this is actually, I serve on the review committee for this particular grant, which means that I have to abstain from our application. And with that, I also am not the staff member who will be making the presentation. Kristen Lashua, our grant writer, is the one who will be making the presentation. She gave her trial run on her technical review presentation on Monday, She will present again in August after she gets feedback from the committee on how to improve the presentation and how to improve the application. So the city will get an opportunity to make minor improvements to little things that they had noticed throughout it. The way this particular grant works is that it is through the state's Recreation and Conservation Office. They receive an appropriation from the legislature each year for the development of parks and recreation assets and facilities throughout the state through a variety of different categories. Last year, there were about $30 million appropriated for this particular grant. And so the review committee will score all of the applicants. All of those will be ranked. And then based on what the appropriation is, that fund will be used to fund every project until they run out of funds. So last year, about half of all applicants received those funds. Ridgefield did apply last grant cycle, but we did not receive funds. And so we're applying again with the hopes of falling within that category.
Does it go back to do we go to the top of the list, or is it just really, does it always judged every year by the best presentation or the most valuable presentations?
It's judged on a number of criteria that's put together by the state. Those are need, design, budget, cost sustainability, and within the application, you'll notice that there are, numbered up at the top, it says things like what need and local priorities, project scope, project design, budget. And so in the presentation, we cover each one of those because each one of those has a different number value in terms of are we fulfilling that need or that criteria.
And missing out last year doesn't give us any benefit to receiving it this year?
It does not. No.
Okay.
And the grant cycle was 2 years ago, actually. So it's on a biennial.
And this program is only for parks that are designed for inclusivity?
No, it is for any local park projects that any local jurisdictions are putting together. So applications have included, there are acquisition projects that are seeking to purchase property to eventually turn into parks. There are inclusive design projects. I saw a mountain bike course project. I saw a project that was about updating a vault toilet at a trailhead, a variety of different projects across the city. The reason why we went forward with an inclusive design proposal for this particular grant is the top 5 recipients of last grant cycle were all inclusive design playgrounds.
Is this the same one is this the same part, Horns Corner is what we presented last year?
It is not.
What did we present last year?
We
that did not
presented
get?
2 applications 2 years ago. One of them was on Abrams Park and the other was on Boyce Park.
And we didn't receive either of them?
We did not.
Are there any plans, what's the plans for the next one, for next year?
It'll be in 2 years, and that'll
2
be
years.
it'll be up to what council wants to put forward. I typically give city manager and leadership like, hey, here's the ones that we may want to go through, but that may be dictated by our capital facilities plan,
Sure.
Which we put forward last year and should be updated in our pros plan this year. So we really look at what are the things that are on deck and ready to go, and that's what we want to put forward. So knowing that Horns Corner is one of our older master plans from 2022, it was the opportunity to help put that one forward. Plus, we believe it has the highest chance of getting funded.
Thank you.
I also like that I think the community really asked for this type of a park when we did the studies. And I like, Corey, how you said a playground integrated in the fabric of our community, because I think that is a really good location right there. My one question is, I want to make sure is that with that location being there, we're never going to move things from downtown, like farmer's market up there, that kind of stuff. Like, I hope that stays in our little downtown area.
I don't believe that is the intent with this
Okay.
project.
Okay.
I had one question about maybe on slide 20, if the one about the population percentages, is that a metric that we'd be able to add on there maybe? I didn't see like a number to gauge how much is in each piece of the bar graph.
It's about slide 13.
On mine it says 20, so I'm just,
What's the top of the slide?
Oh, I see slide 14 on the bottom left, but then like on the slideshow of the agenda packet, it's 20.
Oh.
So sorry.
Slide 14.
So yeah, slide 14. Just wondering if there'd be able to have a percent there, and then on slide 10, Esther Short is missing an H. I don't know. It just stuck out to me.
That is an easy fix. Easy fix. Yes, I can add those.
Also on the map, the royal family is spelled Royle rather than Royal. It's named after the family that Clover Hill, where Clover Hill is.
Thank you, Member Bicknell. I appreciate that.
Are there any mitigation plans for when we worked with the Southwest Washington Watershed Alliance to plant the saplings in there, which are now growing? I'm assuming that's right next to it, right? Isn't that?
That is part of that park, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, mitigation activity for this particular phase of the park. There'll of course be stormwater management for any runoff from the playground surfacing, but otherwise it's not part of this phase.
I was glad to see that the parking lot, that was a big part of what was discussed. I think we did a tour in 2019 of this site and brought that to City Council's attention as a concern. I am still very concerned that we have a later phase for a restroom, for other amenities there. This is a park that has been waiting before the splash pad, before Storybook Hollow, before a lot of other facilities have been built, and there's really not a whole lot available for folks. There's a lot of connectivity now along Royal Road, which is great, but there's the idea that the park would only have an inclusive part done at the end of 2028 with the promise of potentially getting other amenities done eventually would mean well over a decade of waiting. And I think that is, in the event that the grant does not fund, we have to have a plan to move forward with something for this area that we've been waiting a very long time. And that would be my strong feedback to take back to council is we have to have a backup plan, and we have to have a plan for when the next phase is going to happen.
Noted. Thank you, Member Bicknell.
Is there any more discussion? Questions? All right. We'll move on to the second presentation, the 2026 Parks, Recreation, and Open Space Pros Plan. Presenter, Mr. Cownhart.
All right. Thank you, Chair and Parks Board. So let's talk about the pros plan. So the objective tonight is to do things just a little bit differently and really press the opportunity on you as Parks Board to talk a little bit more about what are your priorities and hopes for the pros plan for this year as we prepare to start taking action on this work. Tomorrow, going before council is an opportunity for them to award the contract for the pros plan update to a consultant to operate. Once they are on contract, then they will be able to start working with myself and the staff of the city to start developing the components that will help make the pros plan work, which will include things like open houses, study sessions with you and council, and of course meeting and connecting with the community to make sure we're getting a good pulse check on what everybody is looking for the Parks and Recreation system long term. The objective tonight is really to help get you as Parks Board to start thinking about what you might want in these spaces, what you might want for the Parks and Recreation and Open Spaces plan, because next month there'll be a scheduled study session between Parks Board and Council to sit down and hash out what's your vision. What is your values? What do you hope to see? What are those service gaps? What does the Community Recreation Center mean for us long term? What are those trail connections that are key and important for your long-term growth of the city? That'll be that opportunity. So tonight I want to give you an opportunity to talk a little bit more about that. So I've got a couple of questions I wanted to toss to you, Chair, to help facilitate a conversation of what those things are. And they're really just 5 questions. So we'll start one at a time, and my hope is to pass it back over to you so you all have an opportunity to kind of answer that question well and have a discussion on what this might mean for us. So with that, I always like to start with what's working well. So with that, what is one thing about Ridgefield's Parks, Trails, and Recreation and Open Spaces system that you think is working well or is valued by the community? Chair.
What do you guys think?
I think we have a really good upkeep level on our parks. I know anytime I've put in a request for some maintenance, it's been done, and I've gotten an update within a couple days about it. And I feel like our parks are clean, well groomed, and taken care of. So I think that our parks team does a great job with that. And I also think we have a pretty wide variety of assets. So I think we're diversifying really well. Maybe not on par with what other people have, but we have a lot of different goods that people are enjoying.
I think we've done a good job of increasing the number of parks, especially recently with the Paradise Storybook. I had to blank on the name. I didn't want to finish saying point. With the Storybook Park, I'd like to, I like that we're gaining, and Horns, if we can get Horns Corner going. Skate Park is open, the pump track has opened. So our population's growing. I think we're providing, some of the new developments that have gone in. It's just really wonderful that the council, several, almost 2 decades ago, put in the code that developments had to have those pocket parks, or 25% parks put into them. I think that just created the template for the city of Ridgefield to be successful in their parks and trails. So I think that we offer a good amount of parks at this point comparative to even just 6 and 7 years ago. So the additions have been great. Even Overlook Park is not that old, so.
I echo that. There's been, the public can see forward momentum and execution from the plans. I don't know if they look at how closely they look at our plans or the meetings that we have, but they can see the execution and even the time frame that you had to go through and the difficulties with the splash pad. Those are all forgotten now when everybody's having ice cream or hanging out watching their children do it on a beautiful spring afternoon overlooking the refuge. So that forward momentum is noticed. It also drives up our property values.
I think it's been what I've seen from the youth perspective, a lot of community engagement. I think we've been really good with getting the community more involved, whether it's like with the naming the parks. I think that was really good to see just everyone giving their ideas for it for Storybook Hollow. Yeah, I just think the engagement so far has been really good.
Yeah, I agree with all my board members. I think the engagement's huge. You can see by the amount of people that are out. Mm-hmm. Like with the splash pad, and there's people all over this community, and they're in all different spaces and places, and so that's definitely a testament to people wanting to be out.
And the city does a good job promoting these parks, on their website and in their announcements or their newsletters, the different, I know they have different abilities to get the word out, but they have stepped up the communication with the public as far as the access or the availability of these parks and giving people, because if you don't drive by them, you don't know. So I'm glad that the city has done a good job of pointing out these new parks to people on different social, that computer thing that people do.
I will say the kids name the parks their own names, though, which I think is funny because they do call Storybook Hollow Ladybug Park. Like, that is the official name as far as children are concerned. Any other answers to that question. I think we're ready.
Okay. Question number 2. Imagine Ridgefield 15 years from now. What do you hope residents are saying about the Parks and Recreation system?
I think the biggest thing for me is that they're saying that it's inclusive. Like just looking at the Horns Corner, just like idea for doing a disability access park, I think is really important. So I'm just hoping that when I leave and come back, that there's going to be more inclusivity for kids with disabilities, whether it's social disabilities, mental disabilities, physical disabilities, any of it. I just want them to be more included, and that includes with languages too. I really hope that we move forward with like adding different languages to signage.
I really just want to stand up and start clapping for her right now. I agree. I think the stronger we have inclusiveness in our community, the better we are. And so, yeah.
I think if you kind of look at your response to parks now, and something that always catches your attention is when you see something you've never seen before. So uniqueness, out of the box type of play. And so, because, we had in the 60s, 70s, 80s, for decades and decades, it was a swing set and a slide and a teeter-totter and monkey bars. And we've now learned to be creative with that same type of activity, the jumping, the swing, using the kids. Basically, it comes down to the kids using certain muscles, getting their muscles moving, getting impact on their bones when they're, growing. So we come up with more creative ways. And so I hope that we are always just one step ahead of everybody else's parks, and that the parks out here are just so much cooler. And, that's just keeping up with new ideas. I'd like to see more of even the fun. I know kids they're required to come up with their own ideas on how to play. Like you see a log on the ground, as adults we think, I don't know, you step on it and step down, but kids find creative ways to play with things. But I also like things that are just obvious, like a zip line, the chair zip lines, that never really leave more than a foot off the ground. And they don't even have to go downhill. You can have the straight back and forth. We don't have anything like that. We don't have the ground level climbing nets. And so I want to see things that are really cool. Because when I go to another city and I see in a park something really cool, I think, I want that.
Yeah.
And I want people to come to Ridgefield, and we don't just have what everyone else has, but I want us to come up with things that are other people covet or would like to incorporate in their parks, and be the leader on innovation of parks or innovation of play.
I love that you said the zip line, because I wrote that down as we were looking at the what was going to be the inclusive one, because it's called the zip cruise. I looked it up quick, that you can sit in or stand on. Those are fun. I think people are going to be proud that they invested in their parks, and that we had a focus to continue to maintain and build parks as the population grew, and not just stop, even though we do face a certain budget concern coming up, especially giving them an opportunity to make meaning in it too, with the community center coming up too. I think they're going to look back in 15 years and hopefully be proud that they built something for themselves.
And I've lived on both sides of Ridgefield, and I live on the east side now. And there's a big disconnect living over there versus coming here. Like when my son was little, we'd come down to Abrams and then down to, I lived over in Heron Ridge, and then we'd come downtown, and there's that feeling of being downtown, which is very, very special in Ridgefield. And the moment you drive into it for the first time, you feel it, right? Mm-hmm. You don't feel that on the east side of the city. It feels like giant warehouses, but there's a lot of housing going in there, like a lot, in the new elementary school. And there's a big disconnect over what's there versus what's here. And so I'm just hoping that there's going to be another sort of viable kind of community part of Ridgefield over there. Not that you have to go over the overpass, past Costco, down to Horn, to the new park here, which is great, but there needs to be something over there as well that centers people, and that is another reality that Ridgefield's over there as well. And then also I've noticed there's a big movement in Scandinavia to remove, like in the United States, probably because of liability, probably the same reason they removed diving boards in pools versus when we were children. There's a lot of like rubber flooring and so on that's in playgrounds, but in Scandinavia they're getting rid of it, and they're focusing on children having more interaction with the soil and replicating a natural outdoor environment because it also improves immunity. There's a huge correlation of health, and we've lost that in North America big time. And I think it would be great if there was some kind of natural feeling element to at least one of our parks. I mean, we're lucky we have the refuge, so you can have that experience, but I think that's something to take into consideration.
I would piggyback on what Alex said. I would hope that 15 years from now, that the vision of the nature play area and everything we'd love to do in Abrams Park would be realized, where the kids could get down into the creek in a safe way, but that we would have signage that would be implemented by then. I'd hope that all the trails would be connecting the city. I would hope in 15 years I'd see as many people walking and biking as I do in their cars, getting around town, going out to dinner, going to the community center, connecting up with downtown, getting across town over to Boschma Farms, having parks integrated into the Boschma Farms campus in the way that we talked about it a decade ago. Those are the things I see, the connection of all of the work that we've been doing for years and continuing to push to have it be in celebration of all of the things that connect us, the good communication that we do around events, but that we make sure inclusivity is from childhood all the way to the end of life. Inclusivity means elderly people have a safe place to get out and walk and some place to walk to, and a bench to sit down along the way, as well as for all of the different facilities that people need, whether it's kids or whether it's elderly folks. And I think 15 years from now, I look forward to seeing you all around town and reflecting back on this moment. It'll be great.
Beth, that was so well said.
Thank you, Bridget.
I think that was perfect, the way Beth ended that one.
All right. Well, with that, we've talked about things that are going well. Now there's an opportunity for us to talk about what are the things that need honest attention, right? There are always opportunities for every park system to improve, and our system is going through extensive growth. We're getting ready for the community center. We've got these parks, we've got trails and stuff that we want to do. So, what topics need the most honest attention in the updated pros plan?
Trails, connectivity. Yeah, I think especially with the community center in the next couple of years, we really have to connect the high school to here and here to downtown. There's got to be something for the kids and everyone to get around. I mean, I'd love to ride my bike with my kids downtown to get some food, but I can't. So I feel bad for kids coming up too.
The top priority, number one.
I'd like to see the nature play park down in Abrams finished before the person we dedicated it to is no longer with us.
I would like to play on that nature play park, Sandy.
I think with inclusivity in mind that you will be able to, Beth.
That will be great. That was one of my favorite things. Ted and I went to Ashland for the Shakespeare Festival for the first time. And there was a wonderful playground that had the rope tower that you can climb on and all the little the logs, you could hop from place to place, and we were climbing on it. And next thing you knew, all the kids who saw these old folks climbing on it were over there and swarmed the place, took over, started doing races, who could get up to the top the fastest. But it was wonderful that it was um, a piece of playground equipment that served everybody who walked by that day. It was really great. So,
Bridget and I
but
just,
anyway, with the idea of what we have maybe could do a little better on, I think that tracking some of the developments, I'm so pleased with all the work that went into setting up standards, getting pocket parks and development. But I think that there are, in the race to have so much development get online the last few years, there are some around town where I think they kind of skated by. They didn't necessarily put very much thought into it, and there's still not an amenity there for people. They've got green space, but no way to get there, or there's no playground. And I know a lot of these things take time, but one of the things I'd like to see is a bit more follow-up and holding developers to task when they don't create the amenity that they promised. And I can understand that that would not be a very popular thing to do. It's not a great job, but somehow we've got to have some teeth in these things where if somebody's done developing and they still haven't finished, how do people let the city know? Especially if the developer lives in the neighborhood. I think there's some people who are nervous about speaking up sometimes. So, not an easy one to say, but I'm just speaking on behalf of some of my neighbors out here. So,
Does anybody else?
I agree with trail connectivity. I know we talked a couple meetings ago about e-scooters and the kids riding on the roads. I have two little brothers who like to e-scooter on the roads, and I would like them to get off the roads and get onto a trail so they don't get ran over, especially because they're not aware of their surroundings at 8 years old. So I just think it's really important, obviously, for the entire community to have trail connectivity, but especially for those kids who are riding their bikes or riding their scooters still on the public roads.
I agree, and I also think with that age range in mind that are a little bit older, I think we need to circle back in those next few years and think about that skate park again. I think we have the pump track, but to be able to come back to the skate park, I think is really important, because a lot of kids are being brought down to the downtown area by their parents during the day. They're not kids that live downtown, but they're brought downtown, and they're down here till after dusk before they're picked back up. So something for the a little bit preteen and teen age group. The community center will be good. All right.
Wonderful. Thank you. And I appreciate the conversation. I know that I'm sure it's giving you guys opportunities to think about what you might want to bring up during the study session. It's definitely making me think about how I might want to prepare our consultants as well. All right. So, number 4, we all have lots of things we want to do with the city. And I think if we all had it our way, we'd have Yosemite right here in Ridgefield. But the challenge is that we have to deal with trade-offs. So my next question is, when the city has to choose between all good ideas, what values should guide those decisions?
Is there a rubric or matrix that you've run into in the conferences or your professional experience that helps to narrow that down or create categories?
Those do
for
exist in
consideration?
other jurisdictions, so that's an opportunity.
And it was also brought up, I think, by Eliana about public input and those, I would say, those aligning to whatever professional rubric or matrix that is put forth, and then having the public feel that they've had their input and their say.
So can you repeat that
Yeah.
again?
So the question is, what values should guide those decisions, or what should be taken into account as we're looking at how we want to prioritize what gets done when?
I think location is, like Alex points out, the east side, now that it's rapidly growing, the east side was always, we had downtown, historic downtown, and then we had new development, and the east side was always still out in the country, And I know we have the one park over there, which, is a huge footprint, and, but you can't just have one big one. And so the futures of the east side, because really it's not like we can snap a park out. Obviously, we've seen this over the course of 10, 20 years. But I do not like seeing the parks that have come up that are unfinished. Like the ones that, like the skate park is one. I am more inclined to say, let's just do it, because now the cost, we have to start over from scratch. It's been long enough now. I don't know that we're even set on a location anymore. Now that, whatever location we picked before is now maybe not the best idea. And before we had the pump track, we were focusing on this big skate park. Like, look at this big, huge, beautiful skate park. Well, now we have this big, huge, beautiful pump track, and maybe the skate park doesn't have to be so much focal attention as just getting one, because what we have is temporary. It's been temporary since it was put in, you can tell me, 24 years ago?
I was not around at that point.
I wasn't around when it went in, and they're temporary ramps. They're the same ramps when I moved here over 20 years ago. And so really what I don't like seeing is parks that just keep hanging out there. I'm not sure if we've ever actually updated, up on top of, between Bellwood Heights and no, not Lark, named after, his name just escaped me.
Hayden?
Thank you,
Like
Hank Hayden, yeah, the Hayden Park. I remember a conversation that it needed to be updated, or it needed to be fixed or repaired. Is that not true? I thought.
Yes, Hayden Park
Yeah.
is on the list of, there's a budget appropriation this year that if we are
Okay.
able to find grant funding, we can do some updates to that park.
Okay,
But it is one of our aging facilities. It does need some work.
but it's not shut down.
It's not shut down, no.
Okay.
It's still there.
So, okay, so I just like to, when we come up, it's discouraging to come up with a park and conversation, and you think you've come to a conclusion. Horns Corner kind of felt that way a little bit, with 22, now it's 26. Hopefully this is gonna come to fruition, but there's other parks that we've talked about for a very long time that are still just sitting idle and those parks were talked about even before the pump track, and the pump track is already developed. So somewhere along the line, we said, that's more important. So, but I want to get back to the ones we talked about and make them important.
Yeah,
to
there's been
finish.
a lot of conversation on how do we build cadence into our projects, so that as you're going through master plan, that then goes into design, and that goes into construction, and then ribbon cutting, and you kind of have a conveyor belt of projects.
Yeah.
More mature parks and recreation systems kind of operate in that type of model, because then your dollar amounts are predictable by council members long term. Right, instead of having one large, sum of money for building a park one year, you're kind of keeping everything moving forward at a certain time, and your grants can be more focused, and your projects aren't competing with each other to try and find funding. We did 3 master plans in 2024, which was great. I'm glad that we did them, but then we didn't have the funds to then move forward with all of them at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we build that cadence might be a conversation for the pros plan.
Thank you for putting it that way, yeah.
Yeah, I think if the need for having all those plans if that is a requirement and it sidelines getting parks done, that is absolutely something we should be looking at the cadence of, because I remember talking about Horns Corner in 2018, and I also know that this is something that has been a part of every parks board I've been a part of. There's a gentleman 10 years ago who used to be a parks manager, and he was encouraging us then to make sure that we have maintenance baked into our budget, and not maintenance just for bathrooms and garbage, but making sure Hayden Park, when it falls into disrepair, can be rebuilt, that the signs can be replaced before we go on with new, big, wonderful projects. But I think that one of the metrics we should be using is how long has something been on the books waiting to be taken care of, and that it's a way that if something else has to sit on the back burner that's a newer project, we talk about fiscal responsibility. We talk about what it takes to maintain things. We get to have a conversation with the public about how these facilities get to be beloved parks for 2030. The idea that we wouldn't have a new playground or a new bathroom down at Abrams Park because we need another pump track or we need something else first, I think is where it's just super important that the metrics we use for making decisions aren't just about new development, and something that is easy to do a groundbreaking. It is, as we all know, it's harder to do a remodel than a fresh build, and that's what we're dealing with, trying to keep our parks going all these years. So that to me would be extremely important. I don't know if this is a wheel we don't have to reinvent, like Alex said. Is there something that's already used out there? But I would hope that in Ridgefield, we would start tracking when we started talking about projects and what we talked with the public about, and making sure that it gets taken care of sooner than later. Something else has to wait.
But along those lines, Member Bicknell, that would be called life cycle management in Parks and Recreation world, is something that I know that I've been thinking about, and something that will probably be brought up with the consultants.
I'm going to bring up pickleball because I play it myself. But the demand is huge, and it's going to get bigger. Also, I think people lose track living in Ridgefield. I've lived around Portland Metro, and then I left, and then I came back. I left this area and came back. But I think for livability, and because I grew up in a very natural place, this is the connectivity to nature and what you can do here, and the overall experiences you could have. Like, you could bundle experiences and draw people out here. Like, nobody else has a river to go on the East Fork of Lewis River. I know that's not right in Ridgefield, but you could go there in the morning, get ice cream at 8 Cow, go to Horns Corner, come down and go to the splash pad. If you had like multiple kids, go shopping in the downtown to the flea. Like, there's an overall experience that you could have, like the Ridgefield experience, North County. It's very beautiful out here. It's very unique, and our access is unparalleled to anywhere else in Portland Metro. Not that I want more people paddleboard on the, but you know, you could have it, or Lake River, or like, yeah.
Anybody else? All right.
All right, last question. When you sit down with City Council and the consultants next month, what's one idea, concern, or priority that you would like to raise?
Only in regards to parks?
Parks, trails, and recreation overall.
Well, you already know what mine's gonna be. I would like the connectivity up Pioneer to be looked at as one of the #1 priorities, so.
I second that.
I think that and up to the high school, just because it's a really dangerous spot, especially at night. And it's especially, some of us would probably ride our bikes up to a Raptors game, but because it's like 2 mile walk from Rosar's area, but it's also not that big of a stretch, it feels like. I know Pioneer would probably be a longer stretch of mileage, but with some more geographic issues there, but
I agree with up to the high school. I know a lot of kids, like underclassmen, who walk home because their parents can't give them a ride or they don't have a bus route or whatever it is. But the amount of kids I pass walking down like the Royal Hill, where there's nothing for them, there's just like slim grass patches. It's insane how many kids I see walking there.
another one maybe too is with there's some connectivity on Royal to near Storybook Hollow Park. Maybe having a nice crosswalk there, because like there is a crosswalk to cross the street, and then it goes up a little bit, and then the sidewalk ends, and there's nothing to cross back over if you're going to the neighborhood of Storybook Hollow Park there. So that could be nice to kind of just have a little connectivity, because then it would connect you onto that whole trail system back there. But right now it's kind of fragmented.
I've noticed that the teenagers and younger kids, they're not waiting for us to come out. Like the Ridgefield Youth Commission's working on recommendations about electric scooters and e-motorbikes, but the kids aren't waiting. They're already doing what they want to do, and they're going up those roads even though there's no trails, because I've seen it more and more and more as I've come downtown here. So I think eventually, if that's not resolved, there'll be an unfortunate issue that could have been avoided.
I think that's number one. You know, that's the role of the council, is to set budget and policy. And the scooters, I've listened to the council make two very quick decisions in the recent past. It wasn't on the agenda. Somebody had an idea, they talked about it, and they passed it just like that. Yet we have this e-scooter and e-bike problem in the city, and they're not addressing it quick enough. So I would say they need to pay more attention to the decisions that the quick decisions I don't think they should ever make. I think if something comes up brand new in an agenda, unless there's some emergency to it, I think they need to spend more time thinking of it. They have a lot of business to cover in a council meeting, and something when it comes to parks. This is why we are here, because we have discussion. We don't just listen and then make a decision. We have discussion, and we have a lot of thoughtfulness put into it. We try to get as much information from you and us seeking information outside, so that when we give that to the council, that they have considered that there has been thought and discussion going into it. So I don't like when they just come up with a new idea and then say, let's vote on that, and then it's done, especially in regards to parks and trails. But the e-scooter is affecting our roads, and it should be into the parks and trails more than on our public streets. So it does kind of blur into a parks and trail subject. I don't want to see I have a kid that goes up and down Main 30 miles an hour, 35 miles an hour on his e-bike. And there's scooters that go almost as quick. So this is an issue that they're talking about working on. So if they can make knee-jerk decisions about other things so quick, what's taking them so long to do this e-bike? And I think that's important. But when they make that decision, they can't just say, get off the roads and now you can be on the trails going 35 miles an hour. Because I see them down at the marina now. It's been only recent that they're going all the way down, and they're going very quickly, because it's my view. And the e-bikes and the e-scooters have found that place down there now. So I think there's some appropriateness to saying, like, either they're banned or there's a restriction to it. But I'd like to see them finally put that policy in.
Agreed on the e-bikes. When the question is what is so important that we would want to take it to council, year after year, we, as a board, come back to safety on the roads and the connectivity, the ability for people to just be able to walk or bike around town safely. And it's Pioneer, the Royal Road roller coaster, and are we ever going to have connectivity along G Creek that gets us from Royal Road to downtown. I mean, these are the things that over and over and over. So, yeah, there's that would be 100% my thing, is that council, whomever it is, that we need to rally developers who have been benefiting for a really great decade here in Ridgefield. We need some people to step up who are going to help make these sidewalks, this connectivity, these pedestrian crossings, this place for young people who need to get themselves around after school. That has to be at the top of the list. Because like you say, we really do not want to start having accidents with these kids before we do something. I do not want that to be the reason that we get something done.
Anything else, you guys? Okay.
Okay, we're looking forward to having a study session with you all in council and hearing everybody's thoughts and just kind of unloading everything about, parks, trails, and recreation, especially with the new community center. So thank you for the discussion. I'll hand it back over to you, Chair.
All right, we'll move on to business. For the approval of the 2026 Parks Board Work Plan Quarter 1 report. Mr. Gallagher.
Wonderful. Thank you, Chair and Parks Board. As we do every quarter, we do provide a report to council on the work that's been done by the Parks Board. And so before you today is the Parks Board Work Plan Quarter 1 report. There's not a whole lot of work that we've actually completed this first quarter. Part of it has been, we've been waiting for the pros plan to get the consultant on board, has been a big component of that. And there's been some developments in other areas that have just slowed some things down. The city's been focusing a lot on our new east side elevated reservoir that's getting ready to move forward. So because of that, we didn't have our meeting in February. And then in April, I was gone for the Parks Conference. So with that, here is the report. You've had an opportunity to take a look at it, and I'll turn it back over to you, Chair, for discussion and potential motion.
Do you guys have discussion?
I would move to approve the 2026 Parks Board Work Plan Quarter 1 report, work plan, excuse me.
I'll second that motion.
Is there discussion now on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the motion passes as presented for approval of the 2026 Parks Board Work Plan. All right, we'll move on to public comment. Anyone requesting to speak to the board regarding all items not subject to a specific public? Hearing me come forward at this time, please state your name and limit comments to 3 minutes. Written comments may be submitted to the clerk prior to the meeting. No one's online? All right. Staff reports.
Wonderful. Thank you, Chair and Parks Board. First off, I'd like to start with some updates regarding the county park system. Unfortunately, on Tuesday night, there was a fire at Louisville Park. They lost their historic picnic shelter. So just sending out good vibes to our counterparts of the county park system. Everybody is safe. All the staff are okay. I checked in with them on Tuesday afternoon to see how they were doing, and they're holding up fine. But it's an old structure that I know means a whole lot to the community, so just wanted to recognize that for a moment. All right, some council activity to keep you updated on. On April 2nd, the council had their Coalition of Governments meeting, which is a meeting between the Ridgefield School District, Port of Ridgefield, and the City Council. They discussed a whole number of topics, but there were 2 parks projects that came up in their discussion that I wanted to give you updates on. One, the Rourke was a primary topic between the city and the school district, talking about how to operate the facility and how to maximize the usage of it. So we're expecting more work on the shared use agreement later this year based on that conversation. And 2, the Port of Ridgefield gave an update on their waterfront development, including the waterfront park. So it's good to see that our park projects are getting talked about in these spaces. Other things to report out on. Last month, I attended the Washington Recreation and Parks Association annual conference in beautiful Tacoma. It was wonderful. Got to spend 3 days with parks and recreation professionals from across the state, hear about different trends and activities happening in different places, and it's a good opportunity for us to see what our counterparts are doing and see if we can steal some great ideas and also help share some of our great ones as well. Our pros plan is going to council tomorrow for the opportunity to award the contract for our consultant. Also, the same thing is going to be happening with the Ridgefield Community Recreation Center. Tomorrow, that agenda item is on council's agenda to discuss and potentially approve the contract to award the construction of the facility. Right now, we're looking at groundbreaking sometime in 2026. We're working on some permitting issues with ecology, but look forward to getting that project underway. So should be a huge, massive thing for us to be working on. 2, Storybook Hollow had its grand opening on March 31st. It was wonderful to bring out those who helped make the space possible, and every time I drove by that park, it is just slammed and packed, and everybody is there, and the crew is servicing it all the time to empty out trash cans. So we're very excited to see that this park is getting so much attention and so much play. So we're glad people are there. The Clark County Park Futures Task Force. We talked about this a couple of months ago. Clark County Parks has been exploring different revenue opportunities for their park system. And as such, they asked each municipality in the city to offer up a council member to serve on the Park Futures Task Force. Council Member Davis has been was appointed to that task force, and him and I have been attending these meetings regularly to help provide perspective and support. And at this point, their work has come to a conclusion, and they will be presenting a final report to the county council on May 20th of those findings. Those findings are simply providing essentially a menu of opportunities that the county could explore of how they might want to go about funding their park system and how they might want to explore relationships with different jurisdictions if they were to participate. Nowhere in this document is a formal recommendation of what should or should not be done. It's really an opportunity to just learn and understand how we might fund things. The benefit for us, for the city of Ridgefield, is it's given us an opportunity to learn a little bit more about those revenue opportunities for the city as well. Finally, you may have noticed that there is water in the air at the splash pad. It is officially operating and working. I would like to personally thank everyone in town for being patient with us as we have gotten this project going. We're appreciative of everyone working with us, and we hope we've been able to answer questions thoroughly throughout the entire process, but we have gotten a splash pad that is quality and that is safe for public use. That's been the biggest priority that I've been talking about from the very beginning, and I'm so glad to see so many children and families down there experiencing it. I just want to give everybody a heads up that it will be down from time to time for regular maintenance and operations activities. Just because you see the splash pad is closed sign does not mean that it's broken. It means that we're taking care of it, because it's a new asset that we have to learn how to take care of, and we have to learn how often do we have to change out the filters. Those are things that we are still learning through that process, but rest assured that we're working diligently to make sure that this is a great asset for the community. All right, what's coming next? June 11th. June 11th is our next Parks Board meeting, and we will be having a study session with the consultants. So I think that'll be the majority of our meeting in June. June 10th. We will be discussing the parks. We'll be talking the pros plan with the consultants. They will be coming in and facilitating a bigger conversation with you on what you hope to see in the pros plan. On June 12th is Ridgefield High School graduation. Congratulations, Member Galvan, in advance. We're all so excited for you. June 19th is the last day of school for Ridgefield. Is that correct? 17th, my apologies. Last day of school. We're excited for all the kids to come and enjoy the parks. We're keeping them clean, getting them ready for you. So once school's out, go play outside, have fun. And then in July, we do not have a meeting. Go enjoy your summer, have some fun outside. Lastly, my get outside message. You may have noticed that the weather is warm right now, which is wonderful and great, but I'd like to remind everyone that just because the weather is warm does not mean the water is warm. Water in creeks and rivers and lakes are still very cold. And typically, these are the times of the year where you see the most drownings because cold water can be shocking and mostly we're not prepared for it. So please make sure that you are always wearing your life preserver, have proper, make sure that you're prepared when you go out to these spaces, whether they be in Ridgefield or anywhere else that you are recreating. With that, I stand for any questions that the Parks Board may have.
Can you elaborate on the conversation, the port and the city on the park at the waterfront?
It was more of an update from the port on the work that's being done with Palindrome and what they hope to be developing out there. They didn't mention the park, but they did not have any discussions on what should or should not be within those spaces. They do have to follow the master plan when they're developing that.
So do we still stand to kind of develop that park with the city as a partner, kind of running that park at the waterfront, or is it on the back burner?
In terms of who will be running the particular facility, operating and maintaining, scheduling, those types of components, that's still to be discussed between the city and the port as they get further along in that process.
And who will be building it?
That is still
to be determined.
Still to be determined.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, from the board, anybody have anything to share?
So last night at the Clark County Parks Advisory Board, we did put a recommendation to the county council for your guys's. Yeah. So we did recommend your guys's plan as is. There was some sort of hidden preference of which one we wanted, but I tried to keep my hands out of that. I just said these are the two choices, and this is what you guys worked on. So yeah. So we did move that on, and yeah, I learned about Louisville yesterday. That was really sad.
Anyone else? Member Schill and I went down the slide at Onslow Nature Park. It was a really fun time.
Yes, it was an adult interactive day
Yes,
at
Beth,
the
you
nature
come
play
next
park.
time.
Yes. And we didn't even get dirty.
Nope. Well, with that, we will adjourn at, you guys, my eyes are so bad, I gotta put on my readers.
5 till 54.
5 till, 7:54.